Welcome, friends and agents of awakening, of supporting global awakening, also by you awakening to your true essence in the knowledge that you are part of the one, but also you are the one. You are pure consciousness, pure awareness. And we are in the Yoga Sutras in the limbs of yoga, in the path that is suggested by Patanjali as a means to help us purify ourselves, purify our minds, purify our conditioned sense of self, as a means to start with discrimination, start with knowing what is actually ignorance, not just as this beautiful thought revelation, like I am consciousness, but also as in a practice, in a true knowing, similar to anything and everything. You can know what is a bicycle, but until you have ridden a bicycle, you will not actually know what it is. It's the same with ignorance. To know, come to know what is the identification with mind, and what is not entangled, and to come to know how the mind actually keeps you in this matrix kind of state, how everyone is actually uh, like in their own mental bubble all the time, like in this water tank in the Matrix movie. Each one is immersed in their own mental waters until you actually come to know what is this ignorance. This is the pill out of ignorance. And now he just starts to share with you what are the niyamas, which are the observances or the attitudes that you can start to cultivate towards yourself. Like what, what is necessary, what can be cultivated to foster that path also, to foster my orientation towards realizing the self. And so he says, Saucha is the fast, that is cleanliness. It is to be clean. Obviously, 2000 years ago, that was also a different topic, but it's oftentimes also everything actually in your life, and the cleanliness of yourself, your environment, it also represents your mind, how you live, whether you live cluttered or it's also a representation actually of the mind. So he says the first one is cleanliness, purifying. Purifying the mind is also purifying your intention. Where are you coming from? What this life is so precious. You don't have forever. You have forever as your true self, but in this body you don't have forever. So your orientation towards what is your intention every day is also something that counts. How are you contributing each day? Actually, Saucha, cleanliness. You also your own cleanliness. And then he says, second niyama is Santosha. It means contentment. This is so massively is gonna purify yourself. And it also already points you deeper, because once you start abiding as awareness, you get into touch with what is already fulfilled. From that place, a lot of the desires actually get emptied out. They get seen as no longer so necessary. But already this contentment with what is purifies your life intensely. Where does contentment actually come from? It is knowing that all is perfect as it is. Then this whole striving game that we usually keep up and that keeps us running through life, always actually in anticipation that happiness is around the corner. Like, like when like running after something that is then projected into the future. Happiness that's projected into the future, that's usually the relative self. If only this happens, if I am living there and there, if I have this and that relationship, if I have this and that job, if this is happening to me. And this it starts with you knowing that your life as it is actually the manifestation of your higher self. And it is perfected as it is. And to find the contentment in what is here. Obviously, if your circumstances and everything is horrible, then you're not meant to passively sit back and say, I don't actually do anything for it to change. But it is more about the contentment, you know. Many people think that once they have this or that, then the happiness is there. Then they achieve this or that, and then they fall into a great depression because the happiness that they anticipated would come from this kind of wealth or this kind of status or this kind of job or this kind of relationship is not happening. So one of the things that strongly purifies is just contentment, practicing contentment, being content with simple things, starting to be content with what is given to you also. Many people have so many things. They have a beautiful family. They every day actually they are taken care of. Life takes care of itself. They have food. They have shelter. They have good relationships, and and still there is this continuous sense of lack. Are we content with what we have? What has been so beautifully given to us? The place where we live, our food, the ways how we can show up in this world, how we can contribute. Are we content with that? Our body that is given to us as this vessel. Contentment. How content are you? Beautiful practice, beautiful reminder also. Until this inner and a beautiful pointer also to a contentment that is already here. And that can also be discovered that there is something that's completely fulfilled. From that space, a lot of the desires naturally actually drop off, and a lot of that restlessness that keeps us engaged, thinking within spirituality we have to attend the next the next retreat. We have to go to the sacred site. We have to learn this or that or this or that. As something deeply fulfilled already here. That's your main discovery. And until this is discovered, practice contentment with what is, contentment with all the beautiful things you've been given in each moment. And then, so we have cleanliness, Saucha, Santosha, contentment. And then the next one is Tapaha, it is purification. Those are really purifying practices. And what is Tapaha actually also as the word? It means then also no thirst. What are we thirsting for? It's all the desires. And again, desires as such are not the problem. It is what we anticipate through desire. It's usually like this hope for happiness. And then oftentimes this gets also disillusioned, which is a good thing, you know. You learn that happiness, lasting happiness, isn't found in the ephemeral world, isn't found in objects, isn't actually in anything that isn't already here. It's already here. So tapas is also is practices of purification. Remind us of purification. Remind us again of what is deeper than that. And then is Svadhyaya, which is self-inquiry. So we see that all these practices, they do already, they point the practices you were meant to do in yoga as self-observances. They are already doing what Patanjali pointed out earlier. They are purifying your mind. They are purifying your intentionality. They are purifying where you are coming from. They are purifying lots of our conditioning that still exists, you know, collectively to run after this or that, or to 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 have just these weird beliefs that this and that will bring lasting happiness. And to purify that, and at the same time to also start discriminating what you actually are. And part of that is Svadhyaya, self-inquiry. Who am I? What is the essential I? Is what isn't changing, but is always also here. And to go deeper and deeper inside with that kind of inquiry, to ask what you are and what isn't an appearance about you, what isn't changing about you, what is more truthful to you. And then we know that the mind, what we have assumed to be, the perception, is continuously changing. Changes within a year. We have all these different self-assumptions. Changed from what you expected yourself to be as a child to now. It changes all the time. What isn't changing? Svadhyaya. And the last one that's also an observance for you is Ishvara pranidhana. It means to surrender to the divine, to surrender to not knowing, to surrender to something that is actually already informing your life. You know, this life can be, if your personal will and your will to continuously work against your own inner inner self is very strong, you'll get a lot of catalyst continuously, basically showing you your misalignment, sometimes also showing you what still needs to be learned, or what is carried as karma from before. All of it needs you to surrender. If it's a karma that you still carry that hasn't been redeemed yet, it will show up. And that's, you're actually lucky, because yes, then if you're on this journey, it accelerates your karma. All the stuff comes up that you haven't redeemed yet. So you accept it. You surrender to this divine plan. That's actually your plan, your vaster self's plan, not always the personal self. The personal self has its own ideas oftentimes, and those own ideas actually oftentimes are also conditioned, cultural conditioning of how you have been brought up, what you think you want. It's often not actually not actually what you want. What you want, and that's a difficult one for a lot of people. What you actually want is most of the time already here. That's why the Santosha, you surrender and you are content. You are, people oftentimes, you think you want this or that. You think you would like, whatever fabrications are in your head, what you imagine is an amazing life, or is something that's worthwhile to achieve. Each one grows up with that, or each one has that, and 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 you will often find that if you get that, or if it goes in that direction, you don't actually even want it. You don't actually want it. You want what is already here. You want what naturally shows up in your life. You don't this journey is self-perfected. You can surrender to it. Surrender to that divine intelligence that is actually you. It is more knowing of what is necessary for you. It is more knowing of what will support your path. There is more knowing also as this unified intelligence. So that all of you are also helping the collective awakening, actually, by your own life, your own journey, your own findings. So these are the niyamas. And we see how these niyamas and niyamas actually, how these observances, how you should act towards others, how you should act towards yourself, already actually are part of the path. They help you on some level, you have stuff that you can orient yourself towards. You have reminders. You have these attitudes that purify also your conditioning. If the conditioning isn't congruent or coherent with a deeper a deeper journey or a deeper discovery of yourself, then they help you, but they purify your mind, they purify your intentionality, they purify also your body, Saucha, cleanliness, but also you start discriminating, even discriminating as this relative self. Start discriminating, what is this life? This life is an expression of your divine self. I surrender to it. Ishvara pranidhana. I am starting to be content with how life is, what is. I stop the continuous search outside of myself. I start to question my intentionality and also my desire base. You know, what is it I actually want to achieve through a certain desire? To also get to know to that. What is it? Is it happiness? Is it joy? What is it that this desire, this lurking desire is actually telling me? And what's the real intentionality behind it? And then also to start Svadhyaya, self-inquiry. What is actually the self? Where am I actually found? What is the truth? So these are the niyamas, the observances and the attitudes that both catapult you deeper as you practice them, as you actually work with them, as well as are obviously helpful for your everyday life to 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 be more content in your life, to be more at peace with what shows up, to be more in alignment to the universal collective essence also, and to the global awakening that you are also an agent for. Namaste.